Bandit might seem overpowered, but it really isn't, because it's actually pretty balanced. The main reason people think it's too strong is either because they don't know how to counter it, or they are using a full energy deck. But fear not, because in this video I will be teaching you how to use and counter the Bandit effectively. I do want to start with counters because it's what most people seem to struggle with. In a way, she is similar to the Wave Master, so we will still have our obvious counters like Mini P.E.K.K.A. Dissipate and Ice Wizard and a random archer on a corner or something. But one of the key differences is that she doesn't go after gizmos, so she's a little bit more difficult to counter than the Wave Master. With one exception being the hot pot, because with its done cooking, the potter is considered a mini, so the Bandit will dash onto him and receive a 10 damage hit in the face. You can have an archer and a gizmo, preferably a mirror, in this position, as the Bandit will dash behind the archer and will end up attacking the gizmo instead. Not only does that help isolate the Bandit, but it also wastes the second ability stun on the gizmo, since the gizmo doesn't really get stunned. Another counter could be the miner. The thing about the miner is he would be the furthest from the enemy Bandit, but on the other side. That means when the Bandit dashes onto him, there will almost be always no minis on her way, so she will get there with zero energy. And you can make it worse by giving Dissipate to the miner so he can trap her for ages. I was debating whether I should mention the Prince or not, because he does the same as the miner, but I feel like he's not consistent enough, though just keep this in mind. The original Countess trap is bad, kinda. I mean, you can have a Mini P.E.K.K.A. with Dissipate trapped. It could be two ranged minis or a ranged mini and a gizmo. The point is, just trap the Mini P.E.K.K.A. in a corner. Trapping him would cause the Bandit to go right into him, which would trap her and even result in her getting taken down. Even if the Bandit reaches with full super, the Mini P.E.K.K.A. will still dissipate in time. Although the Bandit isn't gonna target the Mini P.E.K.K.A., so make sure what's above the Mini P.E.K.K.A. can stand a few hits. Okay, the next one is actually exciting and kinda funny. Magic Archer can dish out so much damage on the Bandit. Since she isn't immune during the dash and moves fast, there's a chance she will get hit by all three of his split arrow ability. I didn't want to play 500 games to get one clip, so I'll try to demonstrate it with just editing. I know it's inconsistent, but Magic Archer having no energy and being able to deal that much damage makes him worth mentioning. Another inconsistent but considerable counter is the Witch. It's very inconsistent, but if the Witch blocks all the tiles around her with skeletons right when the Bandit dashes, then she will miss the Witch and get into an awkward spot. I wouldn't add the Witch in my deck specifically just for that, but it's worth keeping in mind in case you got in a sticky situation in like draft or like a, I don't know, just a random ladder game. You can also take advantage of isolation on the Skeleton King or the Royal Ghost, because the Bandit can get isolated very often when she dashes around. Believe me, it deals some devastating damage. Now that you know how to counter it, let's learn how to abuse it. First and foremost, in a Bandit versus Bandit matchup, the one that gets his super first is usually the winner. So don't be afraid of having your Bandit in the front line, so the enemies will target her first, as they will target away once she supers anyway. And since getting your super fast is important, that makes Wave Master an amazing hero for the Bandit, as his Clash ability gives energy at the start of the match. Royal Champion is also great for the Bandit. Although a bit slower at the start, it can consistently support the Bandit, maximizing the chance of chain dashing. For upgrade priority, for what's obvious, you need to get the first star if your opponent has a lot of super based minis like Shield Maiden double healer deck. If they don't, then get the stun one first, because when the Bandit stuns a ranged mini, they will attack her, helping her fill the super very quickly. Although against Skeleton King, I like going for stun first because it saves the Bandit from getting isolated hits way too much. It's a must-get ability in that matchup. Another cool use for the stun ability would be against the Shield Maiden. Since the Shield Maiden gains energy when she gets stunned, the second ability can force the enemy Shield Maiden to gain energy for your Bandit to steal immediately. It's a cool trick to keep in mind. Also, good to note that the Bandit can get healed while dashing, and she does in fact need that healing, so you might want to consider using healers with her. I wouldn't specifically add the healer for that reason, as it's inconsistent, but you can keep that in mind. And against the Cage of ranged minis, you can use the miner to pop a spot in the corner. Either the miner will deal a lot of damage, or he will get KO'd and leave an empty spot for your Bandit to go through. Hope you're liking the Bandit and this video. Subscribe, and I'll see you dashing on the boards, my dudes.